The Ice Star versus the Immortal Gambler, Kinji Hakari versus Uraume. This fight is coming to a rousing finale as the conclusion between two absolute special grade beasts is shortly upon us. But the real question is, who will actually come out on top between these two behemoths who are leveling a city just in their battle alone? That's what we're going to be talking about today. Be sure to leave a like, it helps out a ton, thank you. And of course, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe for a ton of consistent and quality JJK content just like this. Less than 10% of people actually watch my videos are subscribed. So if you love JJK, I promise you won't regret subscribing. And of course, thanks to the special grade members of the channel. Alright, let's get right into this. And before I actually even talk about how I think this fight's gonna end, it's very important to discuss how this fight has actually gone so far. And we've only gotten 3 parts of this fight. So we've gotten the initial part where Hakari just jumps in. We don't really know how he got so high in the air. It's more likely than not that we teleport him up there, and that's how he was able to get the jump on Uraume, as he actually traps Uraume in his domain expansion. So the very fact that Hakari lasted long enough in his own base to actually get a jackpot isn't surprising. I actually made a video on this a very long time ago, far before we even found out that all the students had increased their reinforcement output. I made a video saying how every single character, and especially the heavy hitters, actually got way strong, and I just mean tremendously more powerful, which a lot of people disagreed with at the time, but of course it was confirmed with all the recent chapters that yes, everyone has actually gone a lot stronger, with Sukuna commenting on it multiple times. And of course this definitely should go for Kinji Hakari too, whose base should be way stronger. It's questionable if his jackpot's gotten stronger, I will talk about that later, but at the very least the reinforcement output of his base should be next level, at least as strong as Kusakabe and Ino's, if not stronger, you know, because he is Kinji Hakari. But he does last long enough to get a jackpot, his very first one in base. And of course we know, if you've seen my older videos or threads on Twitter, Hakari's domain is rigged to a disgusting level, because the way you have to comprehend it is his domain is the casino, and the casino always wins. After he's hit his first jackpot, he's got increased probabilities and increased spins, which 100% guarantee that he gets a jackpot no matter what. I mean, the odds are utterly ridiculous. I mean, it's genuinely guaranteed after he's gotten his first jackpot that he will actually keep hitting jackpots thereafter. The only way to actually stop him from getting jackpots after he's hit his first one is to either destroy his hand after the time limit's ended so he can cast domain again, like Kashimo did, or somehow actually destroy his head, which is a lot easier said than done. I mean, Kashimo fired a guaranteed hit lightning bolt and placed it into his brain, but he was actually able to heal faster than the lightning could do damage while simultaneously expelling that cursed energy out of his nose. I mean, really, you gotta hit him with a sniper shot when he's not even expecting it, right through the brains to actually kill this guy. And even then, it may heal, because all cursed energy comes from the stomach, and this includes reverse curse technique cursed energy, because that comes from cursed energy. And this was actually confirmed by Kashimo in the very same fight that he was fighting Kinji Hakari. However, there's a big misconception of people thinking that reverse curse technique comes from the brain, which is both true and false. You do need your brain to actually fire off these signals to use reverse curse technique, because with Kenjaku, when he actually cut down the signals or connections in between the neck and the rest of the body, Hazanoki wasn't actually able to activate his reverse curse technique. So it's both things. You need the cursed energy in your stomach first of all, and then of course you need your brain to actually send those signals to the rest of your body to actually use reverse curse technique. So if you can somehow just destroy his brain, then in theory he shouldn't be able to use reverse curse technique. However, it is debatable on if he actually even gets the cursed energy from his stomach, because he's a very unique case where this is an argument I actually made. I say that it's possible that the infinite cursed energy that he gets from Jackpot isn't coming from his stomach like it does for every other sorcerer, which again is a misconception where people think Todo said that it doesn't. No, it does. All Todo actually said was don't think about it that way when you're actually thinking about the flow of cursed energy, because that can create a lag. Cursed energy still comes from the stomach, but just don't think about it for the sake of the flow. That's what Todo was saying, but of course that's a common misconception where people are starting to think, oh, is Todo saying it doesn't come from the stomach? It still does come from the stomach. Again, reconfirmed by Kashimo later on. But back to the main point. If the cursed energy is actually coming from the jackpot and not from his own stomach, because the jackpot is a domain sure hit, so it's kind of like a side effect of the domain, and it's coming from that, an external source rather than an internal one like it would for any other sorcerer, then it is possible that if you actually destroy his stomach, Hakari would still be able to use reverse curse technique. Now, how is the fight actually going between Uraume and Hakari? They were doing heavy damage on each other. We saw Uraume completely freeze Hakari's right arm and actually break it apart, but Hakari actually heals it at tremendous speeds, palms Uraume and sends them down an entire building, destroying the ground beneath him, with Uraume saying his regeneration speed is incredible. In that and nothing else, he surpasses Sukuna and Gojo. So they're not saying his actual reverse curse technique is better than theirs, it's just the speed, and only in the speed aspect alone he is the best. Like, no one even comes close to that. And it's pretty incredible because Uraume's attack potency is off the charts. They might be one of the deadliest sorcerers we have ever seen, with a casual attack destroying all of Hakari's right arm, and then with just one throw of a casual technique they completely rip apart Hakari's stomach, his torso, and his internal organs. Though of course Hakari does heal through, and it was so impressive that Uraume actually says that I'll go all out. Now what's happened since Uraume started to take it seriously? Well, they summoned this sort of ice orb behind them, which we don't know what it is, but it's really cool, and we can assume what it is. But when we actually cut back, the entire city around them is frozen. I mean, even looking at this one panel with Hakari, you can see far off in the city, like an actual far off distance, it's frozen. And in this panel here, you can see everything around them is just frozen solid. So Uraume going all out is terrifying, and it pains me so much that we're getting this fight off screen, because I would love nothing more than to see Uraume going all out. And here's the interesting thing, it's actually Hakari that's gotten me concerned. Yes, Uraume's are just a bit roughed up, but they seem relatively okay, but Hakari's skin actually seems to be much more roughed up and even peeling off, or at the very least it's damaged from the ice cold around him. And we even see a chunk of his right shoulder is frozen and his face is kind of messed up, which is actually leading people to think, oh, is Hakari not in Jackpot because he would have automatically healed it? And one thing to note is that we have seen Hakari, even in this Uraume fight alone, while he's in Jackpot, he doesn't always have to have the aura around him. Again, the entire beginning of the Uraume versus Hakari fight while he was in Jackpot, we didn't actually get to see his aura. But I actually think that he is, because we know with Hakari's fighting style, the instant Jackpot ends, his cursed energy refills to the point that he can instantly cast domain expansion again, and it would be way too weird that he didn't cast it again, or if he's not casting it now, he's quite literally just creating issues for himself, because all this time he's wasting while talking in his base, he could actually just talk while they're in the domain while he's trying to roll for another Jackpot. And both of his hands are still there, even though his shoulder is frozen, so he can actually still cast domain expansion, which leads me to believe that yes, right now he should be in Jackpot. I could be wrong, but it makes so little sense for him to not be in Jackpot given his fighting style, and given we know every single time his Jackpot has ended, he instantly recast domain expansion. So why is Hakari injured, and why is the Jackpot not healing it? I actually think this is just due to the nature of Uraume's ice, that maybe with his actual shoulder being frozen, because it's constantly being frozen and it's not a single attack, it's possible that this is something that doesn't get healed right away, or is even slowing down Hakari himself. And what I want to touch into is the fact that Uraume is a rare exception where they can actually freeze cursed energy itself, and we actually saw this while Uraume was preparing the ritual bath for Sukuna. Curses, when they die, they instantly disappear and turn into nothingness. However, with Uraume's ice, they're actually able to freeze curses so that they still retain their form even after death, and curses are made purely of cursed energy. What this means is that Uraume can actually freeze cursed energy itself and retain it even when it shouldn't exist or maintain form. So what could be happening is Uraume is actually freezing Hakari so much that they're even freezing the Jackpot's flow of cursed energy, or the cursed energy around Hakari, or maybe it's just getting too cold and it's actually slowing down his regeneration speed, or the amount of cursed energy that he's actually getting. Which, if that's actually happening, that is pretty terrifying and not a good sign for Hakari. And again, the fact that he looks this damaged, with his shoulder frozen and his skin just blistered and peeling off, while Uraume looks fine, just roughed up a bit, while the area is covered in ice and Uraume is smiling, just casually talking. It's not a good look, and what makes this worse is the fact that this fight has been going on for quite a while. The last time we saw them, Sukuna was actually fighting Maki, so do remember, since Hakari vs Uraume has started, Sukuna has fought Kashimo and killed him, Higuruma and killed him, Yuji and Yuta and defeated them, and then he was actually fighting Maki. We got those slew of fights and chapters, and he's still here fighting Uraume, and it doesn't even look like he's close to beating them. Now there's two possibilities here. The first is the most likely option, which I'll say now, and it's very likely to come true, and it's gonna make all the people that just see the thumbnail and title of this video and who don't actually watch it say, oh, this video aged so badly, this aged like milk. And what that is Hakari will win. The reason he probably will win, or at least not die, is the fact that Maki and Yuta aren't dead either. Even though they've both lost to Sukuna, it does seem like they're both alive. Though Yuta's not that clear, it's very likely that he's alive in my opinion. But what does this have to do with Hakari? Well, this is something that I said long before the heavy hitters even fought Sukuna. I said that either all three of the heavy hitters are dying, or none of them are dying. I feel like there's no in between, because either they all die and the ending of Jujutsu Kaisen is similar to the plan that Yuki envisioned, where everyone loses cursed energy, so we don't even need the heavy hitters, they can just die. Obviously not looking at an emotional point, just from a GEGE style writing point of view, but it's possible that we won't get the Yuki ending and we'll still have cursed energy after. And if we do get that ending, well, it's important that the heavy hitters are left, because they will be the leaders of Jujutsu society, because Gojo's gone. They will be the next generation and fulfill the dream that Gojo wanted. Stronger, smarter allies, raising up the next generation. So that's why I think if GEGE is not willing to kill Maki and Yuta, he's not going to be willing to kill Hakari either. But that doesn't guarantee Hakari will win. However, there's also no narrative reason for Uraume to win, beside one, which I will touch upon later. More likely than not, Hakari should win so that he can actually join in the fight with Sukuna, and we can get some Hakari versus Sukuna, which a lot of people would love, even myself, I would love to see that. So that is why Hakari should win. He's very likely not gonna die, and he's likely to actually fight Sukuna because he's one of the only ones left who hasn't fought Sukuna. But why do I think Uraume could win? I'm gonna be honest, this is going off of pure emotion because I just really like Uraume. They're one of my favorite characters and I just want them to win. I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it. That's my biggest reason, so I'm trying to find some logic and reasoning in Uraume winning for that way. But there are some good points, so just hear me out. The very fact that the fight has lasted this long and Uraume is looking this good, first of all, not a good look for Hakari, who is someone who lacks lethality. I'm not saying he's strong, he's an absolute beast in terms of physical capabilities, but he doesn't have any deadly techniques or weapons that can actually kill people or put them down for good like every other character has in the series. And it's why to actually beat Kashimo, he needed to have that whole plot reason of, oh, they were next to the ocean, you throw Kashimo in there, all this cursed energy's gone, that's how you can beat him without doing some insane lethal damage, because he has none of that. Not to say that he can't beat characters just hand to hand, it's just going to take a lot longer that way. But the second reason is, and this is the one narrative point that I was hinting at earlier, I do believe that the villains are going to win this round. Now let me clarify, I am not saying Sukuna's going to win and this is going to be Sukuna Kaisen. I think Sukuna will win this round of fighting. I think he's going to win this wave where everyone's trying to jump him and he'll come out on top, but I do believe by the end of the story Sukuna will be defeated. Just right now the main cast will lose, and we are seeing this play out in real time. So this is something I said back in December where I've been saying I believe Sukuna will win. I believe he was going to kill Higuruma, beat Yuta, beat Maki, and he will just win overall, at least for this round, and the main cast will have to regroup and try again after this first round is done. And it seems like my prediction is coming true, with before that being a minority opinion, now it's a majority with everyone accepting that it's true because Sukuna has really just beaten everyone. But if that's the case, Uraume might actually just beat Hakari here. I'm not saying Uraume is going to kill Hakari necessarily, I just think Uraume will actually win, and maybe, you know, maybe Hakari might actually die. And I'm not gonna lie, there's not too good of a reason for it. I have one reason, and that's Hakari always ranks very low in the popularity polls. I mean, he barely breaks top 20. I don't know why he's not that popular in Japan when internationally, you know, overseas, he's very popular with all of us here. You know, he's a fan favorite, but I guess in Japan, he's not that popular. So that could be a reason GEGE could kill him, and that's beside the fact that after the story, certain characters actually have narrative plots and threads left. You know, a good example being Maki of the Zenin clan and everything there. So you could say that's a reason for her not to die. A lot of characters have that. Hakari is the only one who doesn't have that. He was introduced randomly, though of course he was hinted at before, like many times earlier on. At the very beginning of this series, he was hinted that he existed and his name was dropped, but you know, he was just dropped in simply as a fighter. He doesn't have stakes or anything like that. He's got his own gambling underground scene that he runs, and he's probably just gonna go back to that after the story ends. So if there's one character you could kill who's not that popular, at least in Japan, and narratively doesn't have that much going for him after the story, it's Hakari. And I know this is a very unpopular take that I have. A lot of people get angry when I say this, but it's something that's just the truth. And again, I know it's not that strong of a point, especially compared to the point that I made on why Hakari would actually live, considering all the heavy hitters would live, and that would fulfill Gojo's dream. So there's stronger evidence that Hakari will actually live. I just want to provide two pieces of evidence on why Hakari may actually die and some reasoning for it, even if a lot of people don't like to hear it, and even if it's not too strong, it's still valid, at least in my opinion. How do you think this fight is going to end? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to leave a like on the video, it helps out a ton, thank you. And of course, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe for a ton of consistent and quality JJK content just like this. Like I said in the beginning, less than 10% of people actually watch my videos are subscribed, so if you love JJK, I promise you, you won't regret subscribing. And of course, thank you to all the channel members as well, it is always much appreciated, guys. But that's all from me, have a great day everyone, and take care.